Hey guys, it's Mike. I review nootropics and talk personal development. During this video, you're going to learn how to take phenylpiracetam. This is my secret nootropic. It's one of the best nootropics that I found. What it's responsible for is energy, motivation, improved cognition, and even anti-anxiety. It's been about 5 years since I've discovered this nootropic, and how it feels is almost like the feeling you would get after a workout. Everyone knows after a workout, you've got all those nice endorphins running, you're very motivated, you want to be productive, and you have this nice sense of being clear-minded. And that's how this nootropic feels. So during this video, you're gonna learn about how to dose it. I'm gonna go over some common questions, and at the end of the video, I'm going to compare it to another very strong nootropic, which is Modafinil. So let's get into the video, and if you get value out of it, be sure to click subscribe and give it a like. So the way that you'll find this nootropic is in the powder form, although you can also get it in the capsule form. The reason I take it in the powdered form is because I can accurately dose however much I want to take. But for me, what that typically looks like is 100 milligrams right first thing in the morning. Sometimes 150 milligrams, but that will depend on you. Some users do report feeling good after taking 200 to 300 milligrams, but in my opinion, that's just too much. It's going to affect your sleep, because this is one of the most stimulating nootropics you'll find out there, because with caffeine or other stimulants, typically they'll only work for a few hours, but with phenylpiracetam, we're talking about taking something once that will go on and last the whole day. I'm talking 10, sometimes even 12 hours, you'll notice the benefits from taking it. So this is a 30-gram tub. If you are to get the powder form, just make sure that you store it in like a cool and dry area. And for the sake of convenience, if you are to get it in capsule form, typically you'll find it in 100 milligrams. I prefer the powder form just because I can be, again, accurate with the dosage. Taking it underneath the tongue with a little bit of water and just leaving it there for 60 seconds or so does seem to make it work a little bit more effective. But you can see these are pretty small capsules. It's really good stuff. And what so is I would recommend you do not take it with a meal. You're better off taking it maybe 1 hour after breakfast, or if you're intermittent fasting, then just wait about an hour after you wake up before ingesting it, because when you wake up, you naturally have that cortisol spike and your hormones are getting up and running. So where I like this nootropic is that it's going to physically stimulate you, it's going to give you energy, and it makes it especially useful for those of you that are on your feet during the day. It's a really good networking tool. If you're going to an event, you need to meet people, you need to make conversations, make contacts. That's kind of this nootropic. And where it's also very good is it's very good for multitasking, but it does have some downsides with it, which I'll cover specifically. Just when you're overstimulated from phenylpiracetam, there's no way of really getting out of that. Although just be a little bit careful with phenylpiracetam, just given that it can be slightly uncomfortable. I would not recommend you do any sort of intense cardio with it. How it's essentially used is something which can stimulate you both mentally and physically. So you'll find that when you're working, usually if you tend to be tired or you get a little bit fatigued or off state after 8 hours of work. However, I wouldn't say it's the best tool to use if you're studying, because I find it can sometimes, again, be overstimulating. One misconception that I found with phenylpiracetam is you can take it every day. I definitely disagree with that. This is a very stimulating nootropic, and because of that, what goes up must come down. And essentially, if you're somebody that's going to try taking it every day and you get off of it, you'll find that you actually will have some sort of withdrawals. Your energy will be a little bit lower. You'll feel a little bit of anxiety and just general discomfort. So because of that, if you take it like every other day, it could be good, but even that, in my opinion, is just too much. Can I take the other Racetams with phenylpiracetam? I mean, you can. It's just that you will notice that the other Racetams are not going to be working as effectively. So you may as well save money by stop taking those and just use the phenylpiracetam for those days. It's not like there's a buildup effect when you take it day by day. Pretty much you take it one day and you'll notice the results. This is one of those more stimulating supplements that you would only take every here and there. Things like Modafinil, Phenibut, or maybe Armodafinil. All of which are nootropics that you wouldn't take multiple times a day because they're so strong. And generally, the stronger the nootropic is, the stronger the side effects are. But I found that comparing it with other stimulants, phenylpiracetam is by far the best nootropic if you are sleep deprived. Because when you use substances like caffeine or maybe ephedrine, you will get that pick-me-up, but it's followed by a very severe crash. It's almost as such that the more sleep deprived you are, the worse the crash seems to be with caffeine. But with phenylpiracetam, no, it's like you're just functioning as normal. Another common question is, can you combine it with caffeine? I mean, you can, but the only way I would do that is if I'm, again, taking it pre-workout. Otherwise, you'll find like you're too stimulated to really do anything. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you do choose to do that, then I would just recommend like a very low dose of caffeine, or maybe like a caffeinated tea, like caffeinated green tea. That can work out well. Now, as far as timing is concerned, I just take it in the morning because, again, it seems to keep me up awake at night if I take it too late. So for me, what that looks like is I would never take it after 12 o'clock p.m. But if you don't find it that stimulating, then you may be okay taking it after 12 p.m. Just, again, be conscious of that. It may prevent you from falling asleep, or it can stop you from getting deep sleep, which is something which you want to pay attention to, because deep sleep is what's going to rejuvenate you. It's going to allow you to retain things into your memory bank long term. And that's one thing with phenylpiracetam. Some people may feel a little bit off the next day, but the reality is it's probably just because it's affected your sleep. The other thing to note is that it's a very strong appetite suppressant. It's very hard to eat given that you're so focused, and I would recommend that if that's your experience with it as well, that you would eat prior to taking phenylpiracetam. So phenylpiracetam, that's actually what makes it good for weight loss. I wouldn't recommend it, of course. Speak to your GP to know if it's a nootropic that should work well for you, but that's been my experience, that when I'm trying to cut weight, phenylpiracetam is like a secret tool in that it'll keep me stimulated to make me get in the exercise which I need to get in, and at the same time it'll suppress my appetite. And now let's address the question of how does phenylpiracetam compare to modafinil, which I've made a comprehensive video on, which I'll link here. How it is in summary is that modafinil is more mentally stimulating. Phenylpiracetam is more physically stimulating. With modafinil, this is like the best multitasking nootropic. You can just have these nice subtle shifts from phone call to text message to email to working on your website, like whatever it is. Whereas with phenylpiracetam, you're not able to multitask that well, but phenylpiracetam is far better as a social nootropic. Whereas with modafinil, you're too impatient to talk to anyone. Your mind is just racing so quickly, and you don't have the patience. You can't empathize with people. You're not a good listener. Phenylpiracetam is kind of like the opposite that way. So they have different benefits. Overall, there's actually times when I just combine them, but only slight amounts. That way you can really get the best out of both. But with modafinil, just according to this graph over here, you can see that modafinil will actually increase your anxiety, which makes it such that phenylpiracetam, I would say, is better for those of you that are slightly concerned about social anxiety, maybe general anxiety disorder. That's where phenylpiracetam can really be neat, be effective, and allow you to be calm, present, and a more creative version of yourself. Guys, if you got value out of this video, be sure to click subscribe, give it a like, and the way I'm going to end this video off is with an insertion of a video I've made on the benefits of modafinil. Go ahead and check that video out, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Information and just have the focus and have the interest in the material to begin with. Do I recommend it for ADHD? No, because for ADHD, there's a lot of other health practices that you should be engaged in first. You should fix up your nutrition, watch your carbohydrate intake, make sure you're having like stable insulin levels, make sure you're exercising, especially cardiovascular activity.